Hey guys, how you doing? So let me address an issue based on the statement that I made about this here. I said dare to be different because the average martial artist can't fight. Martial arts is not fighting. The streets is fighting. Martial arts, generally speaking, there's some forms of rules. So even when you do point karate or full contact or even MMA, that's not fighting. Close to fighting. But fight is really ugly. Fighting is gouging people's face with their eyes, I should say, biting them. You ever see two animals fight? That's what fighting really is, where there's no rules. Stabbing someone in the eye with a pen. In other words, survival. And there's some arts that teach stuff like that. I would probably say that the Filipino arts, the Indonesian arts are closer to what would be real fighting. However, we live in a society where you can't be just beating people up in that capacity. However, if it comes to a life or death situation, of course you're going to do it. So I say, dare to be different, lead by example. Now, presently, I'm fat, I'm out of shape, I'm probably still depressed because my mother's passing away, but I'm still in emotions. You know, have a new school, and I'm behind marketing. And my sign should have been in this week. We have to go pick it up. So in other words, I'm still in the infancy stage of what would be a successful martial arts school. So it's easy to get discouraged in the beginning. So anytime you're learning something new, it's discouraging. However, it's also exciting. And you got to understand the difference between the excitement and anxiety. Because your heart rate and your stomach flutter, and that's because you're excited. Plus, you're also a little worried. Now, that happens also when you compete in a tournament. Like here, I'm sparring against someone who obviously is pretty freaking tall. I honestly don't remember who this person is, but if you look at my body, I'm not really leaning that much. My body's a little more upright, if you can see where my knee's at and my head's at. And I'm still throwing the kick straight up, which becomes a swing kick. That's not a hook kick, guys, it's a swing kick. It goes up like a crescent, comes down almost like an axe. In this case, it's a swing kick, which is elongated or further, elongated hook kick coming from the bottom. So, and you can see that. And it's in between his punch and his other hand. But if you see, my foot is directly in between his legs, but behind him. So there's no way in life that leg is not going to end up hitting him. Don't know who took that photo, but yes, that's me, by the way. Because someone said, my God, that's a perfect hook kick. Who is that in the picture? It happens to be me. I know the year was 1988 only because of what I'm wearing, which is a KI black top and KI black pants, and that's how I know. But besides that, I look at this kick and I'm saying, wow, this is one of the many kicks that I can honestly say most people just can't do. And the reason they just can't do it is because most people never learned how to get the split. So that's what I mean by leading by example. Why is it that instructors have a faulty curriculum when it comes to the split, and they just refuse to learn how to properly do it? And then they continue to regurgitate that or teach other people how to do something that's faulty. What I mean by faulty is not so much not only not getting the split, but having the hips, knees, and back hurt years after because of the strategy that you are doing. I was taught the same way, also wrong. And the reason I say wrong is because most people who have the split, if you do it the old way, you end up having a problem with your hips. Anyhow, so I've been trying to share quality information. What I mean by quality is information that helps you get home safe. So if you're doing the split and you get hurt, or if you're sparring and you get hurt, or whatever happens and you get hurt, it makes it difficult for you to get home safe. So I dare you to be different, lead by example, which might mean learning new things to enhance your ability to teach, which means enhance the ability to perform. And that give and take is what makes what would be you lead by example. Your students are the ones that make you better, and the quality of your instruction is based on the results of your students. We had a team called the Totally Awesome Team, and they were all students except for two people, Ty Mark the Last Dragon and Tony Morrison. Everybody else was a student, but they were all competitive and world champion class. as what would have been these pickup teams. Pickup teams meaning people that were sponsored that just put them into a team, a mosh posh of people as opposed to a family so-called team, which is the way we had it. So we had our students fighting against top fighters because the curriculum that we had, whether it was the sparring portion of it, which includes the stretching part of it, which includes the kicking part of it, and a complete different mindset. In order to throw kicks with quality, that means that you have to be able to hit the people. So I did the kicks from lay down. Lay down kicks were the way we were taught how to walk. We started from the floor. Now, I learned the lay down kicks by reading Karate Illustrated. They didn't do it as detailed as I, throughout the years, started doing it. But I saw the article, I want to say it was probably 1981 or so. It was Simon Rhee, who was in the movie Best of the Best. And, honey, he had a good one. And literally, I started changing the way I was doing things because I started teaching just about a year after, in 1982. So when I started teaching, literally, I wanted to have my students set up for success and not failure. And what do I mean by that? I wanted my students to be able to kick better than anybody else. So I wasn't going to teach them the way I was taught how to kick, which was the Muay Thai version. Today they call that Taekwondo. I wanted to teach people how to be effective with it. Because we used to do a lot of hop steps, a lot of what would have been extra movement. In order to do a kick, we used to move this upper body to throw a kick. Then I started learning how to do, it is kind of funny, but it's the truth, honey. You would do like a lot of this movement, which made the person either kick or move out the way. And I realized that when training with Grandmaster Joe Louis, rest in peace, he squeezed the trigger. Like his whole thing was based on what Bruce Lee did. And Bruce Lee used to explode. Like his front leg, used to just explode. It wasn't all this other additional movement. So, and they call that continuity of movement, which is just you throwing the hand out. Similar to when you see Michael Jai White throwing the slow jab because he didn't bring his shoulder. And rest in peace to Kimbo Slice, where he actually catches him and Kimbo can't understand it. That's on the set of one of those movies. I think it was Blood and Blood, no, whatever, something Back to the Bone, but whatever it was. But the guy's name was Bone. You know the scene I'm talking about. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that as an instructor, our intention is to teach people how to become better than us. That's what the goal should be. But sometimes the curriculum or the manner that we teach does not get that result because we were taught wrong in many respects. And the reason I say that is because this, as an example, throwing a punch where you shoulder square, even though we know that's the basics, but we understand also that conditioning via Pavlov's dog being conditioned, you get good at what you practice. So that's why when people go to tournaments and they slap with a hand like this, and I'm like, listen, when you get into a street situation, you're going to end up slapping somebody, people say, no, that's not going to happen. Yes, it is, because you have now physically conditioned your hand to do what would be the slap. Now, does a slap hurt? No doubt about it. But I'd rather punch a person than to slap them, even though we know slap can knock people out, right? Because let's keep it real. They got games now where they slapping people and knocking each other out. So we're not saying that a slap does not hurt, but honestly, I'd rather get knocked out with a punch than a slap. Maybe it's my egotistical mindset because, I'm going to knock and slap you out. Oh, that'd be embarrassing. I'd rather get knocked out with a punch. And by the way, for the record, I've never been knocked out. Did they ring my bell? Hell yeah, they rung my bell. I seen the stars. I remember even seeing 3 people. So who did I try to hit? The person in the middle. Hasn't happened in years. But back in the day, like example, when Billy Blanks broke my jaw, that same year, 3 things happened to him that I would rather have the broken jaw. One was he got stitches across. Anthony Price hit him with a spinning hook and cut him really badly. He had multiple stitches. And he got knocked out twice that year too. One of the videos you see with Larry Connahan hitting him with a hook kick, and before he even hit the floor, he was out. So again, it was just a different quality of sport. That's why I call it sniper fighting. Anything before 1986 was different from anything after. And chronologically, it all changed when they started teams. Because once they put teams together, they started to domesticate these animals that were so unique and beautiful. Mafia Holloway, and Billy Banks, and Nasty Anderson, Richard Clark, all these guys were nemesis against each other, but once they were all put on the same team now, they got domesticated. Initially with Budweiser, and shortly after that, what became Trans World Oil Team afterwards, but it was the Atlantic Oil Team. So they messed up the sport. They made it into a sport as opposed to a martial arts tournament that would make you improve your skills to get you prepared in a street situation. Even though there was rules, the rules used to consist of sweep the front leg, sweep the back leg, cartwheel kick, hit them like a sniper. What do I mean by a sniper? A sniper, martial is military. In the military, you have special forces. That sniper is the most important person to me. It could be contested. To me, the most important person in the team of 6 is the sniper. Because you can't get in or get out without him or her. They're the ones that cover you. And they're able to, at a distance, hit you with techniques that most people can't. So if you get a guy who's a sniper fighter, meaning in the range where most people can't touch you, roughly about 6 feet away from you, the kicker has to do all these gyrations to even get to you. The puncher, forget about it. Even worse, the person who's going to try to flip you can't do nothing, and the person who wants to go to the ground. So ground zero, range number 1, elbows, knees, flips, and so on and so forth, right? Range number 2, punches. Doesn't matter if it's from boxing or what have you. Range number 3 is kicking. Range number 4, that's the sniper range. That means you can hit people from a distance and bridge that gap as fast as possible, and most people can't do much about it. Reason being, they've never developed the proximity, the distance, or the fast twitching muscles. So when you see a point fighter, even of today, even though they're not closing their hand 9 out of 10 times, you still see what would be contact. I should say, you still see speed that's pretty blinding. That's why when these guys or girls go into what would be MMA, they can fight at a distance like Michael Venom Page or Raymond Daniels or even someone like Steve Wonderboy Thompson, and they can pretty much hit people cherry pick from a distance because they're able to fight from further. Of course, they still have to be able to fight in kicking range, punching range, elbows and knee flip range, ground zero, but that sniper range, again, to me, is the element of surprise. And the fast twitching muscles that you develop from that distance are, bar none, better than in any sport. It's similar to a sprinter. Once they hear the gun and they just explode, they don't jump up before they run out. They just squeeze and go towards the target. So my point is that anyone can get better if you have a curriculum that helps you do it. So to me, from 0 being the lowest to 10 being the highest in terms of intensity or speed, I probably moved up today to about level number 5. Now, let me explain what that is. Most of the top wrestlers in the world happen to be Russian. And to get more specific, they're from Dagestan, meaning people from a particular area. And regardless if it's from any province, they never go 100%. Because when you go 100% in training, you might increase injury. They go about 80% more often. So in other words, your body starts to develop through osmosis what would be better techniques because of the consistency to it. For example, if I'm sparring with somebody and I really want to help them get better, I suggest they spar in slow motion. When you spar in slow motion, by definition, you do not have to worry about what would be the fear factor of getting hurt, but you increase the quality of your offense and defense as long as you stay at the same intensity / speed. But it takes what I would consider the self-discipline, not to speed up when someone goes at you slow. It's not easy. It's almost like Tai Chi fighting, so to speak. Now, if you kick someone slow with a hook kick to the head, roundhouse, side kick, man, if you could do that slow, there's a very good possibility or probability you're able to do that fast. Hence, the real measure of your flexibility and abilities are really when going in slow motion. It decreases the injury potential. It increases the quality of the technique. And all you have to do is keep that same quality and pick up what would be the momentum. So I'm going to be putting together more sniper fighting certifications and seminars. The next one is going to be in October. I'll put the date. CJ, I'm not sure if you're there, but buddy, I'm proud of you, because the fact of the matter is that when we are aware, there's different levels of knowledge. First is called unconscious incompetent. People don't know that they don't know. And then you get to the level of conscious competence. You go, man, conscious incompetence. Man, I didn't realize I didn't know. And then you start to actually do the techniques specifically. So that becomes conscious competent. Ultimately, the highest level of knowledge is unconscious competence. That means you don't even think about it and you know how to walk. So again, 4 levels of knowledge, and that's unconscious incompetent. You don't know that you don't know, and then someone makes you aware of it. Now you become conscious incompetent. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know that. And then you start doing the techniques with intentions, so that's called conscious competence. But the highest level is unconscious competent, where your body just starts doing the things because you've already have learned them. So basically, we learn from what would be considered our mistakes. But those so-called lessons are the most important ones ever. We learn by accident or by mistakes. We fail our way to the top. I referenced the Billy Blanks match because 1986, I'm 20 years old, I'm 160 pounds, I'm fighting against Billy Blanks. He's about 220 during that time, and he is my favorite fighter at the time. The night before, I win the division wearing a Billy Blanks school patch. He literally showed me one of the drills that I showed you today, CJ, where I asked your daughter to hit me with a sidekick and I was out. Billy Blanks showed us that back in 1983. And literally, I consider him, I fought with his patch on. However, when we go into the ring, we all have to go with the intentions of winning. So, the mistake that I did was I wanted to hit him harder because I knocked somebody out the night before. And I wasn't cooperating with what the festivity was. It was a Budweiser tournament, and Billy was a Budweiser fighter, and it was on ESPN TV, and it was in in Madison Square Garden's Fell Forum. So I wasn't cooperating to what would have been the techniques, because technically speaking, I was the only New Yorker and the only Latino on stage as a fighter too, for what it was worth. And this was in New York City. So to me, I had to represent New York and make sure that I won grand champion. That would have been phenomenal. I didn't know the score was tied. I thought I was losing, because for whatever it was worth, and it wasn't Billy's fault, when you fought Billy Blanks and Nasty Anderson and companies, you would have to score 3 points to get one. That's just the way it was. Some of these Budweiser sponsors, the Budweiser sponsored judges that were flown in meant that maybe they had a little influence at the scoring because they got sponsored by the people who were throwing the tournament that also had a team. Like inside trading. But I didn't care. What I knew was that I wanted to get better. These were the best guys, at least in the magazines. I became one of them. And I was the first New Yorker since 1975 when Jumping Joe Hayes from the Boogie Down Bronx was rated in the top 10 nationally. It took 1986 is when I got rated nationally. It was the MAKC tournament circuit, North American Karate Council. Didn't last that long, but that was what was sponsored by Budweiser. Let's think about that. Budweiser, a beer company, martial arts holistic. Why would a beer company sponsor martial arts? Because, and I did this 3-hour interview many moons ago with Harry Krebs, the gentleman who actually had Budweiser as a client, who also he was a marketer who happened to be a martial artist in the style of Kempo that was living in Long Island. So he went and spoke to his buddy Toki Hill, So some of the AAU fighters came there, with Billy Blanks included. And then when they got Coach, rest in peace, Chuck Merman. And on the other side, they got Coach, rest in peace, Ed Parker, to be the coach of the team. So again, a lot of this history, I got to share it, guys, because most people are unconscious and incompetent. Yeah, guys, you don't know that you don't know. You say, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. Well, 30 years ago, let's see. It's 2024. 30 years ago makes it approximately 1995. Okay, you got to count the first year, right? And that's not that long ago. I started fighting black belt men and winning 1982, where I took 2 third places at age 16. Things change. So with good intentions, you guys, based on chronological, meaning timing, you just don't know the difference. That's why I try to share those videos of yesteryear where you see someone like John Longstreet do a jumping back kick with the left leg, hook kick with the right leg, spin, sweep, and stop. And that was in one combination. That was 1983, I believe, at the Diamond National. It was not 1984. In other words, 40 years ago. So again, there's different levels of quality, and a lot of people just don't realize what they were. And that's why for years I've been beating people, even though I fight different. I fight like the 80s style fighter, where the ball had to go inside the hoop in order for you to get to the point. By the time 1990s came, they only hit the rim, and then in 2000 they hit the backboard. In 2010, they started just throwing in to the court, and now you can text it in. As stupid as it sounds, but that's the way I see it. So all I'm saying is that the curriculums that work have been shared by many people, and throughout the years, people have been confused because what you're doing is a facsimile, a copy of something that used to work, and they may not work today in the same quality because people fight about the same. I did a seminar for someone, and afterwards he said to me, took about a year, that wasn't a sparring seminar. Like, oh my God, I felt so sad because he was so wrong. And I said, you know what? I'll never go and do a seminar over there again, because not only was it not appreciated, the guy's fucking stupid. Excuse my language. Stupid. He drank the Kool-Aid to believe that bull crap is freaking the way it's supposed to be done. It's freaking idiotic to me. And it's sad because people have been teaching other people how to do a dive bomb and call that a blitz. And it's all based on incompetency. Again, look at that kick. I'm in between his legs. I'm not leaning my body that far, because look at how high my head is as compared to my knee. It so happens that he's a real tall person, and I'm obviously going to hit him with that swing kick, which is like a hook kick / axe kick. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be sharing more information because I honestly am looking forward to the day that we're able to have quality techniques again that will help your students increase the possibility of getting home safe with their striking game, aka sniper fighting. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, AB.
See ya.
We out of here. Bye-bye. Uh-oh. I made a mistake. Let's try this again. Bye-bye.